Hey VC, what's up? It's me, yours truly. I am back to post a quick video here. I'm gonna do a quick response to a thread that Chris Profe just put up a couple of days ago. And if for some strange reason you don't know Chris Profe, you're weird, but that's okay because I left a link right down below where you can go check out his channel. Absolute awesome guy. If you're here in the VC, he's one of the guys that you must be subscribed to and get to know because he's just cool as a fan across the board. And he's always putting up really cool threads. And he did another kind of quick, simple, to the point one here, which is nice. And it was just simply, what was your first heavy metal album? So, so I had to actually really kind of sit down and think about it because, and I love telling the story all the time. Like when I was first introduced to metal and hard rock and all of that, it wasn't just like one album here, one album there, or something of that nature. Because when I was in about fifth or sixth grade, in the middle of the school year, my dad got in his kind of first really good job where we moved from Southern Illinois in this small town on the wrong side of the tracks, living in the projects, and literally 24 hours later, we're in suburban Missouri on the opposite side of the tracks, living in a neighborhood that's nothing like I'd ever experienced before. So just like a total and complete culture shock overnight, right? Um, but a very cool neighborhood. Like everybody in the neighborhood was absolutely cool. The neighbors, the new friends that I met, and all it was fantastic. It was just a natural culture shock. Um, and so the first day I'm there, these two kids come over like while we're unloading the U-Haul and ask, "No, do you have a bike?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I have a bike." And next thing you know, we're off and rolling, and I have two new friends within a couple hours of being there, Matt and John. So a couple of days after hanging out, Matt asked me, "Hey, do you like music?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like music." And he's like, "Oh, well, what kind of stuff do you listen to?" And I name off a few bands, a few songs, and stuff like that. And he's like, "Huh, never heard of them." It's like, do you like any Led Zeppelin, or like Aerosmith, AC/DC? And I'm like, a lead what? Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like up to this point in time, maybe the closest thing to rock outside of disco that I knew was maybe Another One Bites the Dust or something like that. So he's like, "I'm gonna make you a couple of tapes, man." I was like, "Cool. I like music. Definitely make me some mixtapes." He brings over two tapes a couple of days later, and I remember putting in the first one. And if I remember correctly, the first three songs were Baba O'Reilly by The Who, One Vision by Queen, and Over the Hills and Far Away by Led Zeppelin. And it was just like, I mean, just like total and complete, holy cow, what was that? So one of the things that was kind of unique about my hard rock or metal experience is that I didn't experience a new album came out here and oh, here's a new band with a new album, so go check that out. Like for me, it was literally within the matter of 2 or 3 weeks. Here's Van Halen, here's AC/DC, here's Dawkins, here's Wasp, here's just like all like everything at once. Here's Led Zeppelin, here's The Who, here's Deep Purple, like everything. And so it really kind of made me have to think like, what was actually my first album? So I think from the glam standpoint, my actual first album that I got and listened to from front to back and just totally fell in love with and all that good stuff was Twisted Sister Stay Hungry. This was the first one I remember just completely falling in love with the entire album and not just necessarily a song here or there that I had gotten to know and fell in love with by a group. So this is my first glam metal album, a hard rock glam. Um, and to this day, it's still one of my absolute favorites to listen to. Of course, the tracks "I Want to Rock" and "We're Not Gonna Take It" were the big radio, not radio hits, but of that MTV video rotation and all of that. But the B sides on this album is really what's the killer. With the Beast, Don't Let Me Down, The Price, SMS, Captain Howdy, like on and on and on. Just this album freaking rocks. And to this day, I still listen to it all the time. So I'm gonna say that was my first glam metal album that I ever got was Twisted Sister Stay Hungry. And then when it comes to the actual first metal album, like sometimes people, well, anyway, first metal album. I don't remember how much later it was, but I remember at the time that Matt brought this album to me. My musical world at that point in time was 80s R&B and 80s new wave, because that's what all the MTV and Video Soul, BET Video Soul rotation was playing at the time, and I was really into all of that. And then glam and hip hop, 80s hip hop, like that was my musical world. So I wasn't really into the metal thing. Like I wasn't listening to Metallica and Anthrax and Testament and Exodus, Pantera, Slayer. Like none of that stuff was even anywhere near my radar. And so Matt comes in and he hands me a tape, and he's like, "You got to check this out." And I look at the tape and I'm like, I have no idea what's on this tape, but I have to like it. Just by looking at the cover, it's a given that I have to like it. And that tape that he handed me, which I consider to be my first metal album, was Somewhere in Time by Iron Maiden. And up to this point in time, I basically only heard Run to the Hills, which was, again, MTV video rotation. So that's why I was introduced to Maiden. But yeah, he handed me that, and I saw that Cyborg Eddie, and I was like, dude, whatever this is, I'm going to like it. And my parents were going car shopping that day, so I had my Walkman, and I just listened to this the entire day. We were driving around looking for a car, and just to this day, my favorite Maiden album. I say it's kind of right there with Power Slave, but if you talk about song for song from start to finish, this is definitely my favorite Maiden album. And so that was my first metal album. Again, I was listening to Black Sabbath and a few other things here and there, but it was just a song here or a song there. I hadn't really dove into albums, and like I said, hadn't discovered Metallica yet or anything like that. So there you go, Chris. That's my first glam and metal album. Very cool thread. I always like going back and telling that story, because just even diving in that memory is kind of fun to me. But yeah, thanks for watching, VC. As always, let me know what you think. Respond to Chris's thread, and we will talk to you soon. All right, take care, guys.